Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the greatest books I have ever read. My favourite genres, just to preface, are horror, thriller, sometimes mystery, but I dabble in other stuff, but I don't really like the romance and fantasy stuff, so you won't be finding that here. But yeah, in my 19 years, these are the best books I've ever read. So, in no particular order, the first book is The Green Mile by Stephen King. Now, this book is absolutely incredible, and the movie also is really good. I've heard. I haven't seen it yet, but I will because I'm trying to recover emotionally from the book first. Yeah, it did make me cry, which I don't think books really tend to do. So it's about a prison, but the ward of the prison where the inmates are sentenced to the electric chair. So it is quite dark, but it's horror, or I don't know what you call it. I think it's like magical horror or something like that. Magical realism, maybe. But yeah, it's about an inmate who starts displaying these like supernatural powers, and I don't really want to say more than that, but yeah, it's a really touching story. There's some really horrific parts as well, but it's just really well written because everything by Stephen King is, and I just loved it. Like I knew I was gonna love it. It wasn't the first Stephen King I'd read. I've read quite a few now, so but yeah, I think it's definitely one of his top three books that he's ever written, and I think a lot of people would agree. Let me have a look at the Goodreads. 4.49 out of 5 stars. So I was gonna do a reading Goodreads reviews, like bad ones of my favourite books, but it's hard to do that when the book doesn't have bad reviews. So yeah, that is definitely one you should add to your TBR. The next one we have is actually, I guess it is kind of like a thriller slash horror kind of thing, but it is also quite a classic book. It is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Now, this book, I expected to hate it. Not hate it, but find it a bit dull, because I was doing a book swap with one of my friends and his taste is very different to mine. So I just thought, oh, I'll just give this a try. We've got to, it's part of the book swap. And I actually ended up really loving it. Like, I felt like there was so much depth to it that I could actually grasp. Like, I was annotating it like an English lit student. It really brought out like a different side of me. But yeah, I thought so. Basically, it's about two sisters and their uncle who live in a house, and several of their family members died in like an incident, and loads of people think that the sisters did it, like the people of the village, and so they're kind of ostracized. Like they live in this house, and then all of a sudden a cousin arrives and starts trying to like change everything about. But it's just like it's written from one of the sisters' perspectives, and it's just so good. Like it's got a really like mysterious sort of side to it. You're kind of thinking, you can only hear the sister's point of view, and the sisters are a little bit. One of them's like really agoraphobic. Is that the way you don't really like people? So she never leaves the house. Like it's all really like got a weird edge to it, and but there's also like some bits where it gets a bit emotional as well. Like it's just got so much depth, and I think Shirley Jackson's a really good author as well. Like I've read Haunting of Hill House. I didn't like it as much. I found it a bit difficult to understand. I don't know whether I'm just illiterate, or whether it's actually a bit confusing. Let me know. But yeah, she writes really beautifully, and this book definitely was something I didn't expect to really love, but I did. So if you're like me, definitely give it a go and get your pencils ready because you will want to annotate. Book number 3 is Needful Things by Stephen King. Another Stephen King. Okay, all of his books are 5 stars. Like, we can't get away from it. But Needful Things is definitely up there for me. Like, the story is so interesting. Basically, it's about there's a new shop that like starts up in town, and it has like stuff that everyone in the town's like deepest desire is to have. Um, so they come in and he offers it to them for like a price they can actually afford, but in order to get it, they have to do like a deed, or like a prank on someone else in town to get the item. So obviously they do this, but it sort of escalates. So like somebody might be sent to do something which will make someone angry at someone else, and it all just sort of descends into like massive chaos. It is a bit of a slow start, but I feel like because of how good Stephen King's writing is, it you sort of get past that, and because you're so excited to see what's happening next, you're like drawn into the story. It doesn't really matter, but it is quite a long one. So if you're in a slump, like maybe leave it. But yeah, it's such an interesting book. Like it's so good, and oh, I just love Stephen King. Like it's such a creative idea as well, and the characters like really draw you in because obviously there's so many because it's a whole town. But like the guy who runs the shop, he's called like Gaunt or something. Like he's written so well. He's such an interesting character, and you're really like drawn in as to like what he's trying to do. Like why is he there to do that? Um, and you get all these different perspectives of the different people in the town. You get really drawn into like, I feel like that's what Stephen King does so well, the world building. And I just loved every second of this book. Like I was on it, on it, on it. I've I didn't even notice the like 800 pages flying by or whatever it was. Like it felt like 10. Um, but yeah, and some of the descriptions he writes are so vivid. Like there's a point where he's writing about this guy going to the horse racing for the first time, and I genuinely felt like I could get addicted to gambling after that. But yeah, it was obviously not. But it's such a phenomenal book. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. So number 4, I feel like is a little bit more of a niche one. It's called The Last Days of Jack Sparks. It's a horror. It's by a guy called Jason Arnott. He's done another book as well, which I read. I didn't really like as much, but this one genuinely blew my mind. Like I've never read anything like it in my whole life. So it follows a like YouTuber vlogger called Jack Sparks, who's trying to like disprove like supernatural stuff, like exorcisms and stuff like that. But along the way, obviously, he gets roped into some really real stuff. And I can't say anything more without spoiling it, but it's a proper like mind bending story. Like it goes places that you really wouldn't expect it to. It doesn't follow like a traditional plot line in a way, and that's all I'll say. But I really like books that sort of like talk about the digital age. I know a lot of people find it a bit cringy, but I actually find it quite like fun and relatable because obviously we are in this age. And social media is such a big part of everything. And I know this is a theme for Jason Arnott because the other book I read was also involving loads of digital age stuff. But there's also like a really like a deeper level to it. Like it's sort of reflecting on selfishness and like the self-obsession that some people have as a result of social media. So it's not just your flat ghost story. There's a lot of levels to it, like a lot. So this is one I would definitely recommend, and I think it needs more credit because I never see it spoken about, but it's actually really good, and like it's one of those books that you will keep thinking about after finishing it for ages. So yeah, I would definitely recommend giving this one a go. The final book I'm going to be talking about is, you guessed it, a Stephen King. This one is Gerald's Game. So this one is really dark, I will say that. So if you're kind of like, there's certain things that you don't want to read, check like, I don't know, is it like a trigger list that you can get? I would check that because it covers some really dark themes, like in a lot of detail. So it's about a husband and wife who go away for the weekend to this cabin by a lake, and they play this like game where she's handcuffed to the bed and she's not enjoying it. So she kicks him and he dies. And then she's stuck there basically. And it's about what she's thinking about while she's stuck there, how she's going to get out. Like she's thinking through like past life experiences, some of which have been really dark and kind of relate to this situation in a way. But I think it's actually a really deep story. Like, but it's also really scary. Like there's kind of two different parts of it going on, and I can't say too much without spoiling it, but it is like, wow, it's kind of horrifying on so many levels, which I feel like is what you want from a horror book. But it also made me think, like I kept thinking about it so much after I'd finished, and how, not to get deep, but I felt like the handcuffs were almost symbolic of like how she'd been sort of oppressed by the men in her life ever since she was young, and how it's literally affected everything, every aspect of her life. Yeah, there's a film as well, which I have seen, which I did actually really enjoy. I thought they did quite a lot of justice to it. There are a couple discrepancies which I didn't think were great, but other than that, it was a good film. And there's one scene in it. If you don't like gore, then don't watch it, because like I'm not really that squeamish, but I thought, ew. I was genuinely like, I could feel myself feeling sick because it was grim. It was so grim. But anyways, I think it's on Netflix if you like that kind of thing. But I would definitely read the book first, and I think this is another one that's quite annotatable. So I would definitely give that a go. And like I said, Stephen King's writing style is just really excellent. But yeah, it is really dark. So I would definitely stand back from this one if you don't really appreciate that kind of thing. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video and comment if you've read any of these books, and also subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.